If you guys watch my content, you know I'm not the type of person to talk about myself. I constantly have two very different opposing feelings. I never really liked the idea of story times, but I always liked the idea of experiences people can relate to. Sharing what's happened to me to the masses was never something I wanted to do. I can hardly do it with friends who've known me for ages. But I want to change that and become a more confident person who doesn't hide away my past. It is a part of me and it's time to embrace it. If what it takes for others to open up and be more confident in themselves is one person inspiring them to do that, I'll give it a chance. And that's why I wanted to talk about my experience with Unrequited Love. I hope by talking about it, we can grow together and learn how to deal with it positively. Does anyone ever break your heart? Like, pound it to smithereens? Like, they're Ken and you're Barry B. Benson. I'm still young, and I swear, I was crying over my first unrequited love when I was 10, and my friend unknowingly stole my crush away in front of my very eyes. I watched it happen. Even so, I know a lot of you are going through your first heartbreak, or maybe a very major one, but are still trying to figure out what to do. So, what do you do? I've had a couple of those star-crossed lover situations in my past, and if you've ever been in a long-distance relationship like me, you know it's not that hard to come by. My best guess to why is that 90% of people want to be in love, but they don't even know what LDR stands for before they say, babe, this ain't gonna work out. I found someone closer. Like, am I supposed to feel bad about someone else not knowing what they want? Because I do, and that sums up Unrequited Love. Cue the end credits. Unrequited love can be formed from a lot of situations, and for me, it was a lot of bad luck. My first of two large heartbreaks was from a British shy guy who loved coding. We worked as moderators on an animation program and hid a blooming relationship from anyone that we both knew. We had a lot of the same interests in animation. He absolutely adored all things Disney, and it made me adore him even more. To this day, I really cannot find a fault in him, but it was so easy to find so many in me, and that really is what creates the worst heartbreak. I was an insecure person who, to this day, still needs to depend on others, but all those emotions were amplified when I was younger. I would grow anxious over a lot of silly things, especially when he started becoming distant. Whether or not that happened because of my own insecurity, I'll never know, but I know it just played into the mix. At some point, I pushed too hard to know what was going on, and he broke up with me, saying the distance couldn't work out. My second of two major heartbreaks was from an Aussie who was the definition of everything I loved, from his sense of humor to his very ingrained love of creating animation. If it's not clear by now, I'm an animator, and I think animation is hot. But yeah, at this point I've dated enough people to have a very different approach to relationships than in the past. I became somewhat of a free spirit who just wanted to enjoy life as it came and not worry much about relationships without getting to know a person deeply and for a long time first. However, all of that can't stop me from falling in love, and I can say from experience that loving someone who was never yours to begin with somehow hurts worse. It wasn't that we didn't like each other, because we did, but the great tragedy is we never told each other. It is unclear whose fault is whose, but when I thought there was still a spark there only to be told by his new girlfriend that they were together, it was gut-wrenching. And in that moment, it doesn't matter who's to blame, because it feels completely your responsibility. I was told that he did love me once. That is possibly the worst thing to hear. Circumstances deemed us unfit. From the distance to my free spirit, which always was trying new things and new people, to the jokes and lies I made so he wouldn't think I liked him. But also because of his doubts, his own silence, and better options. So, what do? Well, first you cry, but constructively speaking, you have to move on. The things I've learned from living after heartbreaks is that those feelings of adoration might stay, but I would never take a second chance on them. No matter how good someone is, if they completely give up on you, they're not worth giving your heart up to. But this is easier said than done. How I've moved on is not the best way, but I would try to find faults in him, what's wrong with you? That kind of thing. And then I would get really angry. I mean, it worked, but now I still have pent up anger, so maybe don't do that. But you have to move on. There's so many ways to move on. I picked a bad one, but there's a lot of bad ones, so forgive me. So instead of following in my footsteps, I'm gonna tell you how to follow in good footsteps. Man, look. This person ain't everything. You're everything. You matter. I really like you. And you have to like yourself. Tell yourself every day that you're worth it. If your mind is buzzing with your heartbreak, find things that you enjoy that will stop you from thinking about it, like cooking or being with friends or doing activities that you like, even if you really, really don't want to. Vent about it. Talk to people. Look at me. I'm finally talking about it, and it took me freaking forever, but look at me. I'm feeling better already. Maybe. Yeah, but it takes time to move on. You can also help yourself too. These devastating feelings don't last forever. You're a good person and deserve to be happy. If you want to learn anything from my experience moving forward, it'll be to just be true to yourself. Don't go your life fearing heartbreak, because you learn from it. If there's someone to love in your life, you won't have to go looking for them. And if they're the right one, it'll work out. If it doesn't, then you have to know it wasn't meant to be. And that's okay. Hi, I hope you like this new weird format, and if you did, maybe leave a like or join the cult. But maybe the biggest thing you could do is just check out my Patreon. I've been working on it recently, and not only could you get a wonderful little sticker in the thank you credits, but you could get early access to my videos, access to short podcasts, works in progress, sketch dumps, and soon comics! And even if you can't, hit the bell button. I'll high five you for that, Every little bit helps, and I really appreciate it. I also have a Discord if you want to check that out, and a Twitter if you care. I don't know. Anyway, I hope you the best. I hope you have a good holiday, and bye-bye.